Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamerspro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. I believe it was a show that was published on Fox Sports Radio's YouTube channel. I think it was either on Saturday or Friday or Saturday, right? One of those days. But when I came across it, I was surprised to hear what these people were saying, because the way this whole Bronny thing is being covered, especially from networks like ESPN and others, they've really been kind of, handling the situation with kid gloves. So in this particular audio, I was taken aback to hear, I think the hosts of the show were Steve Hartman and Manos Bolanos. I hope I pronounced the name properly. But essentially what they were discussing was Bronny James' debut performance in, the Summer League, right? So as he was talking about it, he said something that I personally believe we will never hear anyone in the mainstream. I'm talking about the mainstream. I'm talking about shows like ESPN First Take, Speak for Yourself. First Things First, Get Up, right? I don't think you're going to see any one of these analysts say what this gentleman had to say in this audio, where he essentially was saying that, look, based on the things that he's seeing, he doesn't believe that Bronny James should even be in the NBA right now. And I was like, whoa, what? And it was actually a show that performed very well, and a lot of people left some comments under the show to, reacting to what he had to say. So what we want to do now is want to play exactly what Steve had to say here, and then want to come back and react to his comments. Take a listen to Steve here.
He's a 19-year-old kid, and I'm rooting for him. Okay, I want to get that out of the way. Here's the reality of the situation. Bronny James right now does not belong anywhere near the NBA. He's not anywhere near talented enough to actually have a position in the NBA and have an NBA contract. The thing that really bothered me at the press conference to introduce him and connect as the new rookies on this Lakers team.
His fashion?
It wasn't the fashion. I don't care about fashion. What bothered me was the insistence on the Laker organization, namely one Rob Pelinka, to say he's earned this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, stop. Just stop right there. The only reason that Bronny James is a Laker is because his father wants him to be a Laker. Just say it. Don't pretend like, well, he earned this. He didn't earn anything. There are literally thousands of college basketball players that have very similar numbers to Bronny James, and none of them would ever in a million years get a sniff of the NBA. The only reason Bronny James has a contract with the Lakers is his father. Just say it for what it is. And this is something that you have to address, because we're going to get into more about strikeout with the Lakers in their efforts to try to upgrade this team and why this is happening. I got a little insight a little bit later on in a text exchange I had with one Michael Thompson.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, so I'll tell you more about that a little bit later on. But this charade, just call it for what it is. It's a sideshow. And it will be history. It'll be the first father-son ever to play in the same team. But the idea that Bronny James earned this, or he belongs, he doesn't. And we're seeing it in full scale today in this Summer League game. Not only can't he shoot, he can't play defense. Like, he's on the ground. Like, they're doing crossovers and literally putting him on the seat of his pants. I remember, and I've had a friend of mine who actually announced his high school games. So I remember a couple of years ago asking him, give me the insight. How good is Bronny? He goes, how good is Bronny? I'll say this. He is probably the fourth best player on this team.
And this was in high school?
In high school.
Okay.
So he was the fourth best player on his high school team, which is why his senior year he made second team all-league. Bronny James, I'm not blaming the kid. I'm not. He has a dream to play. A lot of kids have the dream to play in the NBA, and 99.999% of them will never get that opportunity. He's getting the opportunity for only one reason, and that's his father, period.
So you heard what he had to say. Now, what I find interesting, apart from the fact that, as I said before, that he's saying it, I also find it interesting that what he just said is something that some people were saying. As a matter of fact, I came across a segment on Gil's Arena with Gilbert Arenas and Rashard McCann going back and forth. And they were arguing these two positions. Gilbert was saying that, look, I think Bronny James going to the NBA is the best place for him because he believes that being in the NBA, learning how to be a professional, being in practice, going against players like D'Lo and others is going to prepare him. So in the future, he's going to be a much more advanced player. Whereas Rashard McCann was like, he believes that if he had stayed in college, he would have been able to develop even more. So by the time he got to the NBA, his development would be accelerated because he would already have been a better player. And they were kind of going back and forth with that thought. Look, whether or not Bronny James deserves to be in the NBA or not is irrelevant because he's already in the NBA. And now we're getting to the point where his production is going to speak for itself, right? His production is ultimately going to speak for itself. Bronny is going to be the one that's going to have to go out there and play very well and represent himself and represent the Lakers, right? It's not going to be, we can't talk Bronny into being a great NBA player. He's ultimately going to be the one that's going to have to go out there and prove it. Now, what I like about Bronny, I've been saying it now for weeks, is that he seems to have a lot of emotional maturity, right? If you listen to him talk about the things surrounding him, he seems to be very, cool about it. He's cool as a fan. He's not really bothered by things. It seems that things just kind of roll off of his shoulder. It seems to be people around him that are much more emotional about the things being said. Now, here's my main point. I believe that gentlemen like this, what's the gentleman's name? Steve Hartman, should be able to voice their opinion if they are evaluating Bronny James as a basketball player. I think that there are a lot of people that are out there trying to silence other people by saying, "Oh no, but Bronny James, y'all are just haters. Y'all are just hating on Bronny." It's like, no, but we do this with every other NBA player. So why is it different now that all of a sudden they're talking about Bronny? Number one. Number two, why should it be different? Why do you guys want Bronny to get preferential treatment? We talked about Ben Simmons. We talk about James Harden. We talk about Russell Westbrook. We talk about Kawhi Leonard. We talk about Luka. We talk about all the players in the NBA. And if Bronny James is getting the type of attention that he's getting, and we all understand why that is, because it's certainly not for his production, then people should be able to have varying opinions. When Victor Wembanyama came in his first Summer League game, he didn't play well, people roasted him. They did. And there wasn't anybody out here talking about, people were saying he's a bust and all of this stuff. And then Victor ultimately came back and started playing well. Like, okay, pump the brakes. This dude is the real deal. But the fact is, they spoke about him. And now what I'm seeing is these people out here talking about you're a hater. It's like, no, we're talking sports. We talk about all these athletes, all of them. So why should Bronny be any different? And personally, I don't think Bronny wants to be any different. I think it's the supporters out there that are turning this into something bigger than it actually is. Today is going to be a serious one. And we've been receiving messages from people all over the place, social media and other places, where people have been commending us for our candid views on this LeBron James situation. I also want to state that we're not the only ones with this view in the independent space. A lot of people in the independent space share similar views as myself. People in big media, you can't find them. You just cannot find them. And to me, I think that speaks volumes. So we've been spending some time discussing this Bronny James nepotism, and now the new one is that you have some blacks that are trying to play reverse racism on you, or like inverted racism. You have blacks out there that are now saying that if you don't support Bronny James getting a position, then you somehow don't support black power or black nepotism or whatever the hell it is that's what they're doing now. They've tried to turn, and then they're not trying to say, oh, well, why aren't you happy for a black man to do? I'm sitting up here listening to y'all like, who y'all think y'all talking to? Y'all must be thinking y'all be talking to like kindergartners, people that can't see through y'all nonsense. Like, you're like, who are we kidding here? Who are we kidding here? Well, apparently there seems to be some former NBA players that have finally reached their breaking point with LeBron James and his antics, and in particular this particular move that he got the Lakers to pull off by forcibly drafting Bronny James, and it was former NBA player Stephen Hunter. And he was the person that actually called out LeBron James. He called out his agent as well for what he was doing, and he spoke to the blatant unfairness that is taking place here. And he also spoke about the reason why things like this are the reason why people view Jordan and Kobe Bryant in a much higher regard. So we actually want to get into the Instagram post. So I want to get into what the gentleman had to say here. Let me read his post. Let me see what he said here. He said, for those who don't know, late second round picks don't get guarantees, especially before Summer League. Typically, late second round picks don't get 4-year guaranteed roster spot deals either. This wasn't earned, I'm sorry. And it's an egregious abuse of power from LeBron and Rich Paul. It's a slap in the face to all of those kids out there who worked their asses off to get to the league. It's sneaky Hollywood bleak like this that turns a lot of people off about LeBron. This is just another example of what they be talking about right now. Well, what they're talking about right when you trying to like him. This is why most people prefer MJ or Kobe over him, because you know at least MJ or Kobe gonna be straight shooters. Trust me. MJ could have gotten one of his sons in the league if he chose to abuse his power like that. But he didn't because MJ stands on earn, not given, and he would have never gave his son a sense of entitlement, which is what LeBron just did with Bronny. Not taking anything away from Bronny, nor am I upset at Bronny. Just know that this is a manipulation of our league and the integrity of what it truly takes to get there. I think he said that beautifully. Beautifully. It's also important that I mentioned that this gentleman that we're talking about for the race baiting clowns is a black man. So you can take that one and shove it up your windpipe and smoke it. That, black thing, black guy, black hating on black. That one you want to pull out, the black. That one, the black one. The black card, well, it's a black guy. So that one is null and void. Can't use it because you will look like a flagrant moron trying to call black people out for being hating towards other blacks. So we've thrown that out. So your premises is gone. Let's deal with what he's actually saying and the substance of what he's saying. Here's what gets me. There are folks out there that are publicly celebrating elitism over meritocracy. That's what they're doing. These are the same people that sit up here and virtue signal talking about, oh, we care about the black community and we want to see the black people move forward and we're happy for the black community. And as black people, this is a wonderful moment to have a billionaire flex his power and get his son into the NBA, even though some people believe he doesn't deserve it. And you feel like, what, you're moving the black community forward? The black race is moving forward? How? Wouldn't the sensible thing to do if you're thinking about community, wouldn't it have been better to ensure that a person who is more deserving of that spot got it, who doesn't come from billionaire money? No, let's think about it. Wouldn't it have been better if maybe another player got that position and went on to become a decent player and was able to provide wealth for himself, his family, and maybe if he developed a sense of business, he would have started businesses and turned into a media tycoon? I mean, a business tycoon? No, That never occurred to you because this is not about the black community. This is about an elitist mindset. That's all this is about. And you have those within the elite that are defending this, and you have those that are outside the elite who are sheep, who are also defending something that would never benefit them. It is unheard of, the lack of reason and skills that are taking place here. You have blacks that do not come from money defending those that come from money to get more money to ensure that money stays at the top and and very little trickles down. But y'all afford a black community. Help me figure it out. So Bronny didn't get that spot. It went to somebody else. So what happens? Bronny's still going to be a billionaire regardless. Bronny James is going to be regardless of what's being said here. And that's what he's talking about. This is an abuse of power. What gets me is people trying to act like it's something else. Like, no. It's not an abuse of power. This is perfectly normal and it's perfectly fair. There's nothing fair about what's taking place here. Nothing. Absolutely not. Did you even hear the strong arm taxes they were? If you try to drive him, we're going to send him to Australia. What? And you got people out here defending this, and they're trying to hide, disguise, cloak their elitist mindset with nepotism and say, oh, no, it's nepotism. And all of us, if you had the opportunity to give your kid a position, we'd all do it too. No, you don't know what the rest of us would do. You don't know what the rest of us would do. There are a lot of parents out there that have a lot of money. They don't give their kids money. They give them a good education. They give them the basics, but you got to go out there and earn it. Why? So you can build character, number one. Number two, we all know that when you make your own money, you respect it more than when somebody else gives it to you. Duh. Like, what are we talking about here? It's not all parents that are just sitting up there ready to give their kids the whole world and then they got to work for it. I'm certainly not within that group. Because if you're thinking like that, then you have a very short-sighted way of thinking. You can't build no legacy with that type of thinking. What legacy are you going to build? Usually what's going to happen is you're going to create some extraordinary wealth. Then your kids are going to squander it, and that'll be the end of your legacy. That'll be the end of your legacy. That will be it. It's over, folks. Where there are other people who they build wealth for themselves, they teach their kids to go out there and build their own wealth. And then later when they're older, they bequeath some of their wealth to their kids. But by that time, they don't even need it. So they give them the money, and then they get the parents' money, and then they just continue passing it on. And then they keep doing it. That's how you build a name. That's how you build generational wealth. Not by packing all of your money in one freaking spot, and then, okay, now I'm going to give all of my kids everything. Where do you think they're going to get the motivation to go out there and work? Where? Where do you think they're going to get that motivation and will when you've given them everything? Where? So no, there are not people out there. There are a lot of people that disagree with that mindset. I'm sorry. Now, yes, are there some perks with maybe if you're successful? Yes, certainly. Why not? No one is lying about that. But what you guys are trying to make it seem like is if, okay, this is fine. This is absolutely fine. And if you're about fairness and helping people, you would put other people in position to succeed as well. Because your kid's already taken care of anyway. But the people out here trying to talk about, oh, we're for the black community and we want to see the uplifting of black people, and it just makes me feel good to see a black father do that. Oh, man, it makes me feel, what should have made your ass feel better is to see a person that was really in need of that position get it and then go create some new. That should have made your ass happy. This all boils down to people being fanboys. And that is it. And I will argue that point with anybody. The only reason you're defending nepotism is because it's being done by somebody you like. No one with any sense would defend nepotism if it affected them negatively. Let's stop. Let's stop it. If you were in a position of getting a job that you were probably more qualified for, and the owner or the CEO, whoever gave it to their daughter or their son, knowing damn well they don't deserve it, would you be Of course you wouldn't. And that's what gets me. You have so many people defending elites, which they will never be, or they're not. Man, they done fried you dudes' brains. They done fried your brains. Y'all probably be up there jerking it off when you hear somebody's net worth. Oh man, he worth what? He made $200 million this year. Oh my Lord, get the honey. What 50 say? Get the strap. Y'all be like, get the honey. I love it. You heard what he made $150 million. And you be having them coming in the comment section, but LeBron James still rich. What? We're going to keep talking about this because people are interested in it, and I am certainly interested in my damn self because I got a lot of things that I want to say about it. Before we even get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Well, as you guys know, Team USA is currently preparing for the Olympics. They look pretty good. They have a stout roster where they got some great players: Anthony Davis, Kawhi Leonard, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Anthony Edwards. I think Jason Tatum is there, and some other players that I can't remember right now. But they got a pretty stout team. And throughout this, throughout their practices and their interviews, LeBron James did a sit down, I believe, with Dave McMenamin of ESPN. And during this sit down, they seem to be centrally focused on Bronny James, right? And as you guys know, Bronny is LeBron's father, and LeBron has been saying that one of his dreams or his dream to play with his son. But ever since Bronny's been drafted into the NBA as the 55th pick, a lot of people have been questioning the way in which he got drafted, right? And a lot of people having things that they have to say about it. There have been people that have not been so, that haven't been out there just saying nice things. That people are like, no, okay, let's evaluate what's taking place here. Even Chris Mad Dog Russo had a pretty awkward moment on ESPN First Take when he was like, look, the only reason we're discussing Bronny to the degree that we're discussing him is because he's LeBron James' son. Like, that's the only reason, right? And they had a bit of an awkward moment there. But it seems like LeBron James has finally had enough. And he finally decided that it was time for him to respond to some of the critics of people out there that have been critical of the Lakers, deciding to draft Bronny James. So for those of you who didn't hear what LeBron himself had to say, want to play exactly what he had to say for you now. And I'm going to come back and react to this comment. Take a listen to LeBron here.
Then he had an opportunity to talk to his agent, Rich Paul, and Rich asked him what is his ultimate goal in this whole thing. And he said, I just want to hear my name called. And for it to happen, with us all being together and him being able to hear his name called in the NBA draft, it's like a moment that we will never, ever forget.
Between the lines, to some extent, basketball is going to take care of itself.
Yeah, for sure.
But outside of those lines, he's starting to have some of the same arrows slung at him that you had when you were a teenager. Mm-hmm. What's going to take for him to withstand that?
I don't know if people really understand Bronny. He doesn't care. I actually cared a little bit when I came in. I wanted people to like me, and some of the things that people were saying about me, it kind of bothered me early on in my career. I let it get to me. Bronny doesn't give a He doesn't. Bronny plays, he works his tail off. When he's done, he goes home and plays his video game. He does not care about nobody. He doesn't even listen to that stuff. He's like the complete opposite of his dad. His dad will say something.
Yeah.
Bronny does not care. Like me personally, when I was coming up, I had no choice. Mm-hmm. I literally had no choice. I had to make it out. Like I had no choice. I had to make it out for me, my mom, my family. Bronny has all the choices in the world. So it's like a whole nother, people don't understand how hard that is in the commitment. For him to be coming out of heart surgery less than a year ago, for him to be able to be in the NBA, the kid he's special, but he doesn't care.
So you heard what LeBron James had to say there. What are my thoughts on what he had to say? Look, I think that Bronny should be evaluated and critiqued the same way every other player gets critiqued. That's number one. Number two, I think it's high time that LeBron fans stop going around and calling people haters who are evaluating Bronny James' game based on his production. I think it is very childish of you, and I think you guys are looking for a way to silence people. No one is hating on Bronny James. If Bronny James has a game where he scored 4 points, he had a game where he scored. There's no hating on that. If people point that out, they're pointing it out. It's not, oh, we're hating. Unless you're saying Because I guarantee you, if he scored 25 points, y'all be up there twerking it up all over the place, knocking over jars of honey and just slapping each other, running up and down the hallway, hollering and screaming, just making all kind of noise, right? If that had happened, then you guys would have loved it. My thing is, Bronny is being viewed the same way every other person is being viewed. And there's a narrative that I want to just kind of deal with right now, which is this thing of people want Bronny to fail. Who wants Bronny to fail? As a matter of fact, I believe Bronny is likable. But what I'm noticing is that if people point out some of his shortcomings, all of a sudden now that's being turned into you want to see him fail. How? I was just recently listening to a segment on ESPN, and ESPN now has made it their business to defend Bronny James at all costs, and they're just basically trying to shut down anyone that has anything to say about Bronny if it's not positive. They're up there defending nepotism and saying this, and you would do this for your child too, and do that for. I'm like, bro, we talking sports. Like the critique about Bronny is in his debut game. We're not even talking about nepotism. We're talking about what took place on the court, about his performance. And some of y'all are like, no, but you're hating. How? When Victor Wembanyama had that subpar game in the summer league, he got roasted. And that was the number 1 pick. So if Victor is not above it, why should Bronny be? This is like, I just don't understand what is going on in sports media. And I don't understand why so many voices in sports, I'm talking about the big voices, are so reluctant to call it down the line. The only person I've heard speak about this with some level of candor was Chris Mad Dog Russo on ESPN First Take. When they were talking about who's the most interesting player in the draft, and he said, look, the only reason we're talking about Bronny James being the most interesting player is because his father's LeBron. Has nothing to do with his play. That's a fact. That is a fact. And when he said it, Molly Karen was like, oh my God. Oh no. Wow. It's like, what's going on? What is he saying that's so controversial? He's saying literally what everybody else can see. That's what he's saying. It's like, allow him to go through the process. Would you? Right? And I think that if you feel sorry for Bronny James and all of the attention that he's getting, positive or negative, you need to point you need to point your anger in the direction of LeBron, because he's the one that brought all of this attention on him. He's the one that was saying right now he's better than some NBA players. He was the one that was saying Bronny James at this present moment can be on the left. He said that, not Bronny. He heaped all of those expectations on Bronny James. So let's cut it out with this, oh, people are attacking Bronny and woe is Bronny and all of that. No one is attacking Bronny. People are looking at the situation. They're judging the information dispassionately, and they're calling it like it is. And if LeBron wants to push back, so be it. Right? So be it. But that's not going to stop people from evaluating Bronny the way they would evaluate every other player. If you guys are concerned with fairness, you would support the position I just put in front of you. If you have an elitist mindset, then you will support LeBron and people that say, no, don't say anything about Bronny. And what kills me is that there's so many people that are not within the elite class supporting elites. Talk about sheep. It's unbelievable. Y'all just love being sheeps. These are my thoughts. Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. And we catch you guys on the next show.